in the case of the Shia, this is one major group, and its sister group, the Sufiya, Tasawwuf, and Shia are two sides of the same coin. They share the same beliefs. Of course, it comes in a different package, but when you look at it in its essence, when you take off the outer external differences, you find the commonality internally. And even the Shia, they claim that they were the inventors of Sufism. They claim that. Of course, much of the Ummah who may be involved in Sufism, they reject that claim. But the Shia claim it. And the Shia actually, they appeared before the Sufis. Right? So if we look into how, in terms of belief, the Shia went to extremes, we know that their main focus is on the 12 Imams. And the way in which they perceive the 12 Imams is that they have some of the major attributes of Allah. They believe that the Imams, first and foremost, are infallible. Infallible. Infallible from the time they were born till the time they died. Right? We know about the Pope. The Catholics believe that when the Pope is invested in the office or the papacy, he becomes infallible. That's their belief also. Because he is the spokesman of God on the earth. So they believe he's infallible. But their belief is less than the Shia, because the Shia are saying there's no point from the time of birth till the time of death, the Imams are infallible. They're incapable of making a mistake or doing an error. Incapable. We say that is Allah. Everybody else, as Prophet Muhammad said, Kullu bani Adam khata. All of Adam's descendants make mistakes. Khata means makes plenty of mistakes. So, how can somebody then come and say he or she is infallible? Furthermore, the Shia believe that the Imams are omniscient. They have knowledge of all things. What is in the Lawh al-Mahfuz, they know. That's what they believe. Absolute knowledge. So we say, that is Allah. They also believe that the Imams are omnipotent, that they have power over the atoms of the universe. And they like to quote the case of Ali ibn Abi Talib, which they claim. One occasion, he was involved in some battle, and the battle was prolonged, and the time for Asr came, and the sun set, without them being able to pray. So Ali ibn Abi Talib commanded the sun to rise again, so he could pray his Asr and then allowed it to set. This is among their beliefs. Imam Khomeini, he says it very clearly in his book Al-Hukuma Al-Islamiyya, the Islamic state, government, that the Imams have a special station above that of the prophets, with a creational caliphate. They call it Al-Khilafa At-Takwiniya. And when you go and read about what do they mean by Khilafa Takwiniya, It means that they control the atoms of the universe. This is the Imams. So, if we go into Sufism, right, we find infallibility in another version. When you become the murid of your sheikh, you become a follower of a particular sheikh, then you are supposed to believe in him absolutely, that he can do no wrong. So they tell you, if you even see him drinking a bottle of alcohol, know that it may appear that way to you, but that's not what it is really. You see him committing adultery, know that it is not what you see, because what you see may not be what really is, like Khidr and Musa. Because your sheikh can do no wrong. He has become one with Allah. He is in fact Allah on the earth. They don't say it that way. But when you say he's become one with Allah, he has arrived. They call it wusul. He has arrived, and he becomes, what they call it ittihad, or what is it? They have some, I've forgotten, it slips my mind right at the moment, the terminology which indicates that his self, his being becomes one. Wahdatul. No, it's different. But the point is, he becomes one with Allah. Right? So at that state, he sees what Allah sees. Means he knows the past, the present, and the future. He hears what Allah hears. Of course, there's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ had said that the slave does not come close to Allah except by doing what is compulsory for him or her. And if they continue to worship Allah through voluntary worship, they come closer and closer to Allah until they become, their sight, right, becomes the sight of Allah. Allah becomes their sight. That's how it's expressed in the hadith. But they're seeing as Allah sees. And they're hearing, touching, walking, related back to Allah. But the scholars of mainstream Islam all understood that it meant that they would only see what was pleasing to Allah. Right? They would avoid looking at that which was displeasing to Allah. Not that Allah literally becomes their sight, that they see what Allah sees. No. How can? We are human beings, finite. We cannot see what the infinite sees. Right? So they give their imams these attributes, of Allah in terms of knowledge, in terms of power. They have this belief that whenever Allah sends down blessings, the leading Sufi saint, they call the Qutub, or the pole, it comes to him, then he distributes it over the earth, to the people of the earth. So he has control over Allah's blessings to give to who he chooses. So we see in the end, when we look back at the Shia and we say, okay, after they've had this belief in the Imams in this way, then what is the consequence of that? The consequence is that they then, believing that the Imams are infallible, know everything, capable to do anything, they pray to them. So the imams become intermediaries between themselves and Allah. They pray to the imams. They have special prayer books which you call on Hassan, you call on Hussein, you call on, the various imams, Ali, etc. Call on Fatima. They didn't exclude Fatima, she's included. They talk about the 14 infallibles, the main 12, and then you have an extra 2, Fatima and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They call on them in prayer. And similarly, when you look in the Sufiya, they call on the imam, on their saints. The people who they have elevated to this status of having this connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they call on them in prayer. So when trials befall them, they call on the people like Abdul Qadir is the most popular saint to call on. In trial times, Ya Abdul Qadir, aghifni. Oh Abdul Qadir, save me. They will say that openly, no problem. They will go to the tombs, make tawaf around the tombs, prostrate at the tombs, and that's what the Shia do when they go to their mashhad, where Ali ibn Abi Talib is buried and so on. So they go there, make tawaf, prostrate, everything. Especially Karbala, where Hussein was killed, radiallahu anhu, where they believe because he was killed there and his blood touched the earth of Karbala, Karbala becomes the most holy spot on the earth, more holy than Mecca. So much so that they make clay tablets out of the earth from Karbala.